Hi, Scott here. Hope you're well. Hope you had a nice weekend and found a little bit of time just to go through your trades for last week and review them and just see how you're improving over time. Trade reviews are very important to our progress, right? So we can improve all the time. Just making 1% better every day will make us 300 odd percent better every year. Now, so the news on Friday was pretty big reaction, and there was also some gapping in the markets this morning. So the charts are a bit messed up, and it's a little bit undecided as to what's going to happen now, whether the Asian market and the UK market will follow the reaction that we had from the US on Friday or not. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Just got to be aware of that, and I'm being very cautious today until at least an hour or so after the UK opens. So let's get into the charts. Still a few things to talk about. Still a few setups that may play out, that may set up nicely today. So we will definitely have a look at those. Okay, good. Stop video. Get out of the way. Okay, here we are. So as usual, we'll go through the watch list from Aussie CAD. The first one I've got on my list. Higher time frames, monthly, weekly, and daily. See an overall downtrend, not an aggressive one, but a kind of drift down. We've had recently a rejection of the daily 50, putting back down to the lows, and then on Friday we had an update, unexpected reversal to the upside. So let's look at our charts here. So we had a pullback, which was kind of expected before going lower, and then the news came out. So I think a lot of people were waiting for the news before they got involved on Friday, and especially on the US session. And then this big spike down, the spike up, long pressure. And then the close of the weekend, closing out positions here on this down candle, and then it gapped down over the weekend. Then it went up, and now it's kind of trying to find its way. So there are a few pairs that have this kind of pattern. So we need to be a bit wary of those. What's going to happen? Well, we don't know, do we? We're going to see what happens. I think play cautiously. Some pairs looking okay, but a lot of the Aussie pairs, I think, just play cautiously. And other pairs as well. We'll go through them. But if we did get a nice so below the hourly 50, we're looking for an IBO, A, B, or C. The break of the 1 hour 50. Actually, we can even get above this, the 4 hour 50 here as well. So we're looking for a CBO. Complete breakout of hourly 50 and the 4 hour 50. And if we get that to break up here and then a nice arc down, we could see a nice long trade. We would presume from the reaction after the news that the market's going to go long in this pair. But we'll see what happens today. If it does, then a CBO would be ideal. Come back, pull down, and then trade it long. So the CBO, enter 382, our fib. This is the highs, and I've done the lows from this run here, ignoring this new spike. So this low here to the high of this run. So this run, fib 382 for entry, and stop behind 618. And if it does create this arc or some kind of positive price action, take a few hours to do that because we're looking for 4 hour candles as well as 1 hour candles. And if that happens, then the 1 hour 50 will catch up to the 4 hour 50. So it could play out nicely. We'll just have to see where the market takes us. Aussie Kiwi. So we had this wave 5, quite a long wave 5, was long for a wave 5, and then it was decelerating. And we look at the 1 hour on Friday, and it looked like it's going to reverse. And we had some kind of reversal. Let's have a look at the 1 hour. So here's the trend lines that we had. It did break on Friday before the news. News was released around here. And what do we have? Well, we had a run up and a run back down again. So it's not really sure what it's doing. So maybe because Aussie and Kiwi are both similar in their, in the resource countries, so therefore they're not safe haven currencies. Therefore, they do act quite similar, and maybe they'll be affected the same by the news. So therefore, this pair will just carry on after the news as it was before the news. And we were expecting reversal. That's what the 1 hour candle implied, reversal to the upside. We have an IBO which is already playing out right now. And if you missed that, by the time you see this video, then we'll be waiting for finally a break of the 4 hour 50, and then trade the CBO. And the CBO will be a complete breakout from here up to day 20 or the daily 50. Stop behind the 618 of our fib when it forms. But it looks like the IBO is probably going to play out now, if it's going to play out at all. And you probably would have missed it by the time you see this video. Okay, let's have a look at CAD Yen. What does that give us? So CAD Yen has been going pretty sideways, not really looking very good. But since the news, we've had a low test candle on Thursday, bullish action on Friday. Looks like the US has been very weak since the news, and so has the yen, it appears. Both being safe haven currencies. Right, this is an hourly chart. So we've had a rejection of the daily 50 down here, this green line. And it's bounced up to the 1 hour 50. Broken through it on Friday. And the news came out and it accelerated even further. And then it's pulling back. So this isn't too broken. We did have a bit of a gap down here on the open after the weekend, right? But not much. So that's looking pretty good. And it's rejecting the pivot right now. It's yen, so it could play out in the Asia session. So the pip snatch is playing out right now, perhaps, but it's probably more likely to. The volume's still pretty low this time of day, and when the Tokyo market opens in another couple of hours, we'll get a lot more volume come in. So most of this pull back to the fib, which I'll take it from the lows to the highs. 382 of the fib lines up very well with the 4 hour 50, and the 1 hour 50 is pretty close as well. So that could give us a nice entry in a few hours' time. And again, the CBO could be broken out both in the 1 hour 50 and the 4 hour 50. And with the entry at the 382 and the 1 hour 50 or the 4 hour 50, or even both, because they're very well lined up. I'd say the highs, the obvious profit target would be these highs. And the lows of the fib are from the lows of this move. So there's a nice fib, nice looking setup potentially if we get a bit of a pullback in the next few hours. So that's looking pretty good. Swiss yen. Swiss yen, very similar. We've had pullback, sort of an ABC pullback, a bit messy, to the daily 50, and it's rejected that on Friday after the news, presumably. Let's have a look on the hourly chart. So it's pulling back anyway, looking like it might be going short, but then the news came out and accelerated to the upside. So we'd expect that momentum to continue. We didn't have a gap on the open, very little. We did have a big spike down on the very low volume, so it doesn't really count for much. And if you do a fib from these lows to this high of this run, the 382 lines up well with the LD 50, and being a yen pair, it could play out the next few hours. Maybe we'll get a good volume driven pullback to the 382 and the LD 50, and then we can take that long. We're going away from the daily 50, the green line, going away from that through the daily 20, which is this faint red line. so trading out is not a problem. Trading out of the 2050 zone, and we have a rejection of the 4-hour 50 already. So this will be an IBOC trading through the 4-hour 50. But that's looking like quite a nice little setup. We're looking for a long. Do we have a confirmed change of trend on the 4-hour? So we're taking this long. We've got a downtrend, lower highs, lower lows. There's no confirmed trend change on the 4-hour. So it'll be an IBO C/B. There's no confirmed trend change. And on the 1-hour, do we have a confirmed trend change? We have higher lows. We have higher highs as well. So we do have some confirmation of a trend change. And there's probably a trend line here as well somewhere. Out there somewhere, which it has clearly broken. So yeah, it's not perfect, but it's still a pretty good looking setup. So we see how that one goes. EuroCAD, next one. EuroCAD has been kind of going sideways for the last few weeks, drifting down from this major support level, resistance level, down to the daily 50, and a nice low test candle on Friday, presumably because of the news. That's a nice looking rejection candle. It's a bullish one, so that we're probably looking at, there's my arrow, got an arrow on here. We're probably looking at a nice update today. So let's look at the hourly chart. What do we get from that? So we have drifting down. We have a trend line there. Maybe there somewhere. A low test on the news, and if this upward momentum continues, then we're looking for a bullish day today. So we can do a fib from these lows. I've excluded this wick. This is a bit of a news event, so you can be a bit liberal with excluding wicks and bars if it suits. So from this low up to, if it does trade up to the 4-hour 50, the daily 20 here, EuroCAD, so that won't sit up for another probably 6, 7, 8 hours at least. Plenty of time for us to pull up here, pull back down, give a nice entry for an IBO. So stop behind a 0.75 of our fib, entry around the 382 and the hourly 50. That might go up slightly, drift up slightly as the price goes up and down. And trade through 4-hour 50. And there won't be 1% before the 4-hour 50, so just be aware of that. It looks like we'll probably get maybe 1%. It's touch and go, pretty close. And then trade it through that, so an IBOC, because you're trading through the 4-hour 50 up to maybe these highs here. So there's good potential there, it's over 2%. So that looks okay. Setting up for later on. Remember, we need to see, not drifting along, we need to see a nice clear, try again, a nice clear breakaway and a pullback, and then we can take it higher. We don't just keep going along, that's okay, but then the fibs don't really line up. When we adjust our fib to that, it doesn't really line up. It doesn't look so good. Hopefully get a nice clean breakaway and a pullback. So EuroCAD. Euro pound. So we've had some bullish action the last few days. The Friday was a bit of a doji-ish looking candle, slightly bullish. So is that a reversal candle or is that a continuation candle on Friday? Well, let's have a look at the hourly chart, see what we can make of that. Well, it's looking like it's very bullish, isn't it? So the doji was this bit here, opening and closing around this area here on Thursday. But the Friday action was very bullish, especially since the news, which happened around here somewhere. So it was going along anyway, and then the news made it go up, pull back. That's looking very bullish. We will need a nice big pullback to give us an entry for an AC, no, it'd be a CBO, maybe, yeah, it should be a CBO. So CBO, we've broken through the 1 hour 50 red line and the 4 hour 50 the blue line. Clearly broken through, nice big gap is there, and a pull back to the 382 fib. Taking the fib from the lows here, which is the one that broke the 4 hour 50 to the highs. If it pulls back, hopefully it will, to the 1 hour 50, euro pound, another 8 hours away before that sets up. It could do a nice little ABC correction as a wave 4, and then going long. Presumably a wave 4, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 could be, and wave 3 is made up of 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that makes sense. Big wave 4 pullback and a wave 5 long. Take profit, kind of floating in the middle of nowhere, isn't it? So maybe these highs here. Range of 382. The stop goes below the 618. The 450 will need to catch up, which it may do in a couple of hours. And the daily 50s here and the daily 20s here. So there's plenty of protection from our stop. Around there, maybe 1.3%. Let's go back to the daily and see what our potential would be. If we were going long here, this was the start of a new uptrend. Then we could be trading these highs here quite safely. Then have a pullback from a wave 1 to wave 2, then a big wave 3. The pullback to those highs will be these highs here, which is up here somewhere. So there's plenty of potential there. That'd be 2.5+%. Okay, so that looks like it might set up later. We'll see how it all pans out. Euro yen. Euro yen. It was pulling back into the daily 2050 zone after rejecting this level here. And we had a bullish day on Friday. And it applies a bullish day today. Room up to this rejection zone, so it won't go beyond these highs. That'd be a good take profit target, which is what I've got here. These highs. Take profit. Okay, we've broken through the 1 hour 50 quite cleanly. We've broken this trend line. Nice big run up on the news on Friday and a pullback. This is all low volume gapping stuff here, so you can't read too much into it. If this is the high, then our fib from this low here lines up pretty well with the 1 hour 50. Euro yen, so it could set up in the Asia session. In which case we'll have, this will be ABC pullback, and this will be an IBO. It's an IBO, the stop goes below the 75.75 on the fib, which also lines up with the daily pivots. This is the S1. So the entry very much like a pip snatcher on the pivot. If it pulls back in the next sort of 2, 3, 4 hours perhaps, and we trade to these highs. If it does keep on drifting higher, we may get a nice CBO instead. Same profit target. 1 hour 50 will catch up. This will happen a lot later. And then fib will then be like this. Could be something like that. So ensure about there. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. And stop kind of 618. So again, it's a similar kind of reward risk on the trade. Just depends how it plays out, whether it pulls back now or waits, goes higher and then pulls back a bit later on. Keep an eye on that one. That's looking quite juicy. Euro dollar. What do we have here then? We've got a euro dollar's not my favorite, But we've had this trend line. It did break it. This long trend line here going way back. It did break it quite clearly. Came back down, we tested it, and did break it slightly on Friday or Thursday. And then Friday, we had this big bullish action here on Friday with the weakness of the US dollar off the news. As you can see, it was drifting back, maybe ready to pull down short, and the news came out and it went very bullish after that. So again, we've got some low volume action here on the open, big gap down. So looking quite yucky. But if we did did repair itself and pull back nicely to the 382 of my fib, and the fib is from this, well, actually from the lows of this run, or this big 1 hour lows here, recent lows, up to the highs of this run. 382 lines up really well with a 4 hour 50. A 1 hour 50 will catch up. Our daily 20 is here as well. We'll have to ignore the daily 50, which is kind of doing anyway. So if we do get a bit of price action back down to here, give us a nice entry. That could be a nice looking trade as well. And take profit, maybe at the highs. That makes sense. Looking back to the daily, yeah, same for these highs is a good safe profit target. That's looking pretty good as well. Okay, so look at pound Kiwi. Right, we've had lots of rejection from this level here. Head and shoulders. We can clearly see head and shoulders here. We've got the first shoulder, the left shoulder, then the head, and then the right shoulder. Very nice head and shoulders. Now, what does that mean? The head and shoulders pattern, the neckline will be, as it goes through the two shoulders, something like that. And the price target, if it plays out as the textbook tells us, we take that length there, and that's how far down we get from the breakout. So there's plenty of room to the downside. We also did our fib extension, wave 1, wave 2 pullback, and this is wave 3. Fib extension between 1.272 and 1.618, and that kind of makes sense as well. So we've got plenty of room to the downside. Looking good. Now what do we get on the hourly chart? Very strong downtrend. So we've already had haven't even pulled back to the 4 hour 50 yet. It's been so strong. Pulled back to the 1 hour 50 on Friday before it accelerated down. How can we jump on this trade, on this trend? Well, it's not looking very good, is it? We do have a trend line there, which is looking a bit too far behind to have any help. Let's zoom in a little bit. Our pivot is here, our 1 hour 50 is back here, so it's not looking very good. Forward entry on the pivot, it's already at the pivot. It's already pulled away and pulled back to the pivot. Maybe that's all we're going to get. The 1 hour 50 is still way behind. It's just not quite lining up, is it? It'd be nice to get a 4 to 1 hyper trade out of this. So stop will be 1100, and profit target would be 4400. 4 to 1, and that takes us down to here. We can copy that trade and paste it onto our daily chart. And where is it? Did it print it? Oh, didn't copy and paste it. Something happened there. Let's try again. Copy, make it a bit wider actually, because I think I struggle on the chart. On the daily chart, because it's so thin, only a few hours wide. Okay, now I can see it. It's a little bit skinny. Dig it out. Okay, so we're going down to 1.618. So that's doable, isn't it? The head and shoulders price target is looking pretty good. Pretty close. So there's potential for 4% there, but it's whether we can get in. And I think we want to see it test the 1 hour 50. We want to see a run up to 1 hour 50 and spike and go straight down below it. Enter around the pivot somewhere. We've got proof of the rejection of the 1 hour 50, and we've actually traded through the pivot because that can act as resistance on the way down. So it's not looking ideal, but fingers crossed that'll give us something. We'll have to see how that plays out. I think today is a little bit. Many of the pairs are not looking that stable at the moment with price action for Friday. Okay, next one is Kiwi Yen. So Kiwi strength and Yen weakness after Friday's news. We've rejected this trend line here. We broke up above it again. We rejected it a few times, many times. Broke above it and back through it again. It's rejecting it here, broke up above it, and now it's retested it, and it's off. And that looks like a very, very good bullish day today. Very strong. Many reasons why. Now, what's the hourly chart giving us? Well, a big gap down here. That's pretty yucky. How can we get onto this trade? Oh, get onto this chart, this trend. So we're getting an uptrend. It's looking. We want something that's going to follow the 1 hour 50, maybe. We do have an ACBV. ACB being a break of. Actually, it's going through the 4 hour 50 there as well. So we're not really an ACB because it broke through the 4 hour 50 quite cleanly. So maybe we can count this as a CBO. We do get entry here. It did pull back. Once this low volume stuff sorts itself out, maybe we'll get a nice CBO pushing up. In which case we can have long trades lines up with the pivot, stop behind the 618, trading up to not much around, is there? Not much around for a price target. Maybe we can do a fib. Elliott wave from here, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Nice big wave 3, that's good. So if we did a fib extension on our wave 3, we're looking for a wave 5, which will be a we do enter around the 382. So our price target will be 0.618. Just below that. That'd be a good price target. So we could still get 1.6%. Yeah, looks okay. But price action's a bit yucky. Kiwi dollar. Very similar to the last one. We're getting a very bullish day on Friday, breaking through the daily 50. Does it give us anything nice here on the 1 hour chart? Well, not really. Maybe a pip snatcher. Again, the price action, because it's gapping down, just looks a bit yuck. But a pip snatcher is like a good option there. But we need to see. We need to see some nice price action. So we want to see this after all this gapping and low volume stuff. Nice price. Don't know. Maybe that isn't it good, does it? Don't like it. It's spoiled by this gapping. Okay, got that one. Got a Swiss. What can we see here? Wow. So we're heading for new highs on Friday, or new recent highs at least, on Thursday. And Friday was looking for an update, but the news got dollar and Swiss, both safe haven currencies. Well, the dollar is weaker than the Swiss was weak, it seems. So we had a big down day. Again, we got some gapping here. Looks yucky. This is our breakdown. We need a pullback to 382 in the fib. So the fib I'm taking from these highs here, before this last run here, and the bottom of the fib down here. So we've got the 382 of the fib lines up perfectly with the pivot, lines up perfectly before our 50. Got a Swiss, another 8 hours to go. That give it time to do what it's going to do. And we'll back to 4 hour 50, the 1 hour 50 will catch up. We can trade down to the daily 50. So into about there somewhere. That could be okay. I'll just see how it plays out. Last one we'll look at, which is one I may set up later, is pound yen. So we've had a pullback to, we've got any waves on here, edit wave 1, 2, this is wave 3, wave 4, and this will be a wave 5 to the highs. Pull back to the daily 50, and now rejected that on Friday, the bullish day, so it's looking like we're going long today, which makes sense, even though the pound has been weak recently. With the news on Friday, the yen is even weaker. So the pound yen is going up. We've got a triple bottom here on the 1 hour, which is nice. Make that a nice kind of support level. I run up to the 1 hour 50. So if we break through the 1 hour 50, we do break through it up to about here somewhere, pull back. We can then trade it up to 4 hour 50, which should give you maybe 1.2 or something, or you can go much higher. Take it much higher. So we've got the daily 50 support, which is nice. The price action since the news has been good, apart from a bit of gapping here on the open. But that can recover, and go up here. That could set up for a nice long trade. Okay, that's all I have for you today. It's the video didn't start. Okay, my video didn't start. Never mind. Oh, it does. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so a bit messy because of the news on Friday, the gapping on the open, a bit of uncertainty in the markets, it seems. So let's just see how it plays out. So something gives us a nice trade. If we don't get a nice trade today, then it's hopefully we've had enough of the bad news and or the big news, and we can hopefully get some plain sailing in for the rest of the month. So we maybe give it another day to settle down unless something supreme sets up today. Okay, if you found it useful, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day in the markets. See ya.